This is the Den, the companion web app that comes with GPUDog After Effects plugin, and this is effect that I've built with it. And the Den isn't just a website, it's a real GPU application running inside your browser. No uploads, no cloud render, your footage stays on your drive. And frames are drawn by your own GPU. Also, it's important to understand that the After Effects plugin and the Den aren't two different products. They are simply two interfaces powered by the same rendering engine. Using this node-based editor, you can build almost anything you can imagine. SDF shapes, procedural noise, distortions, particle effects, even animated text or entire procedural scenes. If you can imagine it, there's a good chance you can build it. I'm not going to dive into theory today and explain every node, which is probably where I should start with. Instead, I want to show you just how fast and fun it's to build something in the Den. I'll explain my decision as we go, and once you've seen how it all works, we will come back and dive into the theory. So, let's start. I'm clicking on new GPUppy here, nodes from scratch. Then I'll pull out a new node straight out of the output, a Trail sampler. Here we see angle, length, and a few more parameters that we can tweak, and basically you can quickly create a long shadow effect from this, which is what it was originally built for. I pick a footage with alpha and match the aspect ratio to it by clicking on this button. Now let's create a sampler node that just read the input image and a blend node to mix them. I'm turning on mask by alpha, otherwise it will override the alpha and we won't see it. And here basically we have the long shadow effect made of RGBA pixels. If I want a black shadow, we have a made output here. It's counterintuitive, but it's easier to do it through a Pre-mult node by simply connecting the made to the alpha. But we have to disable the Pre-multiply checkbox. The input there remains black by default, and now we can mix it by connecting it to the blend node. We can also color it through a value color or even through a gradient, because we have this distance output, and I connect it to Colormap node and plug it here instead of the black color. You can even make an inner shadow if I enable this cast inward checkbox. But in the blend node, you have to swap the outputs by clicking on this button. And we can also add a cycle node to tweak it a little to adjust the color. I will also make parameters, let's say for angle and length, maybe fade as well. That's how easy they are to create here. Now we have 3 parameters that we can adjust. I'm going to parameters tab, and we see those parameters here. Let's pop out this properties panel, and we can tweak it directly here. Okay, we've sorted that out. Let's save effect, but it will be nice to name it. Let's name it inner long shadow. I can hover here, click save, or just press Command S. Here's our effect in the library, but it does not have a thumbnail. So we have to make it by clicking this button so that it would be easier to identify it. Let's go back to After Effects and add this GPUppy here. The parameters we have here are the same: angle, length, and fade. But in the Den, you can also activate live mode. In this live mode, I'm just editing GPUppy, and without saving, for example, change the modes, and we immediately see that in After Effects they changed too. Okay, moving on. Let's disable live mode and create a new GPUppy. We are creating a Trail sampler again, but this time let's focus on the flow pin. You can connect a lot of different nodes to it, but here we want the flow field. And now you can see the shadow turning into a kind of smoke turbulence. Let's tweak it a bit and add a time node to face, so there's an animation. Let's say something around the third speed. We can also make the noise itself move in the same direction as the shadow. For this, I'll pull a chords node and probably pick the aspect mode, so we don't depend on the aspect ratio. Then of course you can move it through translate, rotate or transform nodes, but here it's simpler to do it through just adding time node to the y-axis. That's why we need a per-axis node as one of the solutions. And then we just add this to the flow field UV input. The speed came out quite high. The angle is upwards. But regarding the speed, we just add the divide node and let's say divide by 3. And I also set the angle through rotate mode, which is important to place before the position changes, so that nothing gets shifted after the rotation. The angle we can output through value angle node, and basically we can add this same angle to the trail sampler. So now they both going to the same direction. We can even make a new parameter out of it, like this. Just clicking on the extract to parameter. Let's name it angle, and we have this parameter, angle. And moreover, we don't have to run both wires from one place. It's enough to copy the node through Alt and drag and drop. And it's actually two connected wires here, because it all comes from parameters. Okay, moving on. We can also determine the area for generating these trails. We have cast from alpha, but we can change to luma or max RGB. The cast offset and cast size parameters now appear. Let's change the footage as well. Then we now use the same blend and sampler node and swap them in the blend, this button. We also don't forget to take the mask into account as well, so that chemtrails are on top of it. And you can even color them through a Colormap node, plus a blend to these trails. But you also need to connect mate to opacity. Let's rearrange nodes here and tweak a little bit the cast offset parameter. We have a normalize checkbox that we have to switch on with the multiply mode. So it will work great with the multiply mode, since the colors become values greater than the maximum 1.0. Let's have a group here, trails, and this is actually the flow group. We can also make a parameter for the flow speed from here, and let's also tweak the colors. Let's now save this GPUppy and look inside After Effects. This GPUppy will call Chemtrails tutorial. So let's make the thumbnail here. Yeah, we've done. And here in After Effects, we can add this GPUppy to the adjustment layer like this. So here's, it already looks quite psychedelic, as if Mr. Hoffman decided to take a bicycle ride here. But let's remember that out of all the properties in the nodes, you can make parameters, like, for example, fade, cast offset, length, and maybe here the scale parameter. So let's save it again. And now in After Effects, we see those parameters, but we have to tweak it a little bit or reset to default. Yeah, and now we can tweak the scale of noise, the speed or length. So it was two effects, and I never wrote a line of code. Next time, we slow down every node, what it does and why, the theory I skipped today, and I recommend you to run and try to create your cool effects with the Den using the links you can find in the description. See you!